Good morning, Unity of Overland Park. I'm always home for Christmas, which means I'm in the Kansas City area, but I'm not always in Overland Park. And Overland Park and I go way, way back, longer than actually I'm going to reveal to you. But I will say that I remember when the intersection of 95th and Metcalf was gravel. And when my alma mater, Shawnee Mission South, was as far as Overland Park went, how many changes we have seen in this area. Just amazing to me. I remember my mom and dad were pioneers in Overland Park, and by that, they were part of one of the first subdivisions that was ever created called Johnson Hills, and it was behind what was then known as the French Market. Does anybody relate to this? Wow, I'm surprised. A lot of other Overland Park pioneers here. Yes, indeed. Now I think it's a Kmart. The last time that I saw it, it had been converted to, but it's an elaborate Kmart from the outside. Beautiful towers and so forth. Anyway, it is great to be back. It's great to spend the holiday season not only with all of you, but it's not very often that I have the opportunity to share a message with my entire family in one sitting, because they come down in sort of like paces throughout the year to Miami. So I am deeply grateful to have all of them here, and my 4-year-old granddaughter in your Sunday school this morning. So it's good, it's good, it's good. There was a couple of senior ladies that were driving out here on Antioch the other day, and as they were moving along, the one lady in the passenger seat noticed, or at least it seemed to her, as though they had just raced through a red light intersection without even stopping or pausing at all. And so she was alarmed, but she second thought it herself and figured, well, I'm sure that Helen didn't just drive through a red light. So they come down to another intersection, and once again, the car just moves right through without any hesitation at all. And she becomes a little more alarmed, but still doesn't want to make a scene until they arrive at the third intersection. And Helen races through that one as well. And finally, her friend in the passenger seat says, Helen, are you aware that you have just run 3 red lights without even looking? And then Helen says, oh my God, am I driving? So I have 2 questions for you this morning, actually. The first one is, who's driving? Who's driving your life, and are you aware of who is driving your life? And of course, we know in Unity, thank God, that what's driving our life is the presence and the power of God. We know that because that's all there is, right? Okay. But my next question will be a little more challenging, and that is, who is driving your experience of this one presence and this one power? Who's driving that? Or I should say, what is driving that? And this morning, I'm just going to propose to you that what is driving your experience of the one presence and power of God is something called your belief system. Your belief system. And I'm here to tell you that no one else is responsible for your belief system except you. Not me, not Bob, no minister, no way, no exterior authority. You and you alone are responsible for your belief system, which means, in essence, that you and you alone are responsible for authoring, for composing, for painting, if you will, your own religion. Now, I know that we like to identify with religious organizations and institutions, and that's wonderful. It's as it needs to be. But I'll tell you, there is no turnkey religion, my friends. And one of the most beautiful aspects of the Unity teaching is it does not ask you to conform to a turnkey belief system. This way of life that we call Unity was founded by 2 individuals who discovered within themselves the capacity and the courage to challenge the thinking of their time. And in so doing, they launched what is really more than a religion, an exploration. And it's ongoing. And it's not an exploration of anything or anybody outside of you. It's an exploration of the infinite inner realms that lie within you. Everything that I'm going to share with you this morning is based on my own belief system. Please hear me on that. Which means that I do not expect for you to just adopt anything that I say or anything that I share with you today. What I want you to do is take it in and see if it resonates with what is eternally true in the center of your own soul, in your own being. And if it is, be open to it. If not, let it go. Because you can trust your ability to create your own religion. Did you know that you're all founders of a religion? It's your way of life. Interesting thing about beliefs is shared in this quotation from Mark Twain. He says, "In religion and politics, people's beliefs and convictions are in almost every case gotten at secondhand and without examination from authorities who have not themselves examined the questions at issue, but have taken them at secondhand from other non-examiners whose opinions about them were not worth a brass farthing." That's a little bit shocking for me, to realize that most of what we've accepted as being valid and true in our lives is hand-me-downs. It's stuff that other people told us to believe, and we've never really inquired or challenged it. And so we're trying to survive, let alone thrive, in somebody else's belief system. And that belief system hasn't even really been examined much or contemplated by them at all. We're just expected to accept it. Well, you're never expected to accept that, my friends, in a unity church. May your mind always be challenged when you walk in this place every week. May there always be something that causes you to scratch your head, something that causes a sense of confusion inside of you, because you know what confusion is, don't you? Confusion is the mother of enlightenment. It really is. If you think you've got everything figured out, there's not going to be any room for the presence and power of God to reveal itself, to evolve itself through you. So you want to give yourself license, in fact, encouragement. I often say back in Miami, never, never, never make up your mind. You say, what? Never make up your mind. The moment you make up your mind, you're crystallized, you're frozen. And that's not the nature of your being. The nature of your being is to evolve and to flow and to continually experience more of the infinite totality that you are. So if you walked in here this morning and you felt a little confused, I want to say, congratulations. And I hope you walk out even more confused than you walked in. So what is this thing that we call belief? I want to share with you something that I've titled The Anatomy of Experience. And it has some different components to it. It starts with a thought. And we, of course, in Unity know the power of thoughts and thinking. We say that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And the word there that I think is key is the word held. It doesn't say that passing thoughts that come and go are necessarily going to create or manifest your experience of ultimate reality. It says only the thoughts that you are clinging to, that you hold in your mind, that you hold in your consciousness. And the reason these little critters are important is because they're pitching tents in your mind. They're buying real estate in your head. And they're building communities there, okay? So they're not just passing through, sightseeing. They're actually taking up residency in you. And when they do that, they draw the next component of this anatomy to them, and that's called feeling. Your feeling nature moves toward them. You start to not only think a thought, but you begin to have a feeling about that thought. And you put the thought and you put the feeling together, and you wind up with a belief. Now all of a sudden it's not just hearsay. I believe this. I have a sense of conviction and faith around it. You move from belief into the recognition that beliefs, not unlike thoughts, love to gather together and have little social engagements in your mind and in your consciousness. They love to get their friends together, and they love to come together and stir up lots of camaraderie, and they begin to socialize in such a way that they become ultimately what we call a concept. Now, it's beyond just a belief or two. You have a whole collection of beliefs now, and they become a concept for you. The concepts, not unlike the beliefs, also begin to socialize, and they draw similar concepts to them. You see, that's why it's so important that we be observing this process going on inside of ourselves, because all those concepts coming together form what we call a paradigm. A paradigm is, of course, as you probably know, a lens through which we experience ultimate reality. We always tell you in Unity that there's only one presence, there's only one power, that it's God and that it's good. But how many of us can honestly say that every day when we get up and throughout the activities that ensue, we hold that awareness of one presence and one power? You see, what happens is that our paradigm comes between us, our filter comes between us in terms of our perception. We do not see the ultimate reality of one presence and one power because we are viewing that one presence and power through our paradigm, through our filter, through our lens. And no one but you can create that lens. Ultimately, no one but you can free yourself from that lens by not being attached too much to that which you say that you believe. So you see, the paradigm finally then creates our experience. We cannot all say that our daily experience is one of one presence, one power, one God, and one good. We can say that is true in ultimate reality, but our work is to free ourselves every day. First of all, to purify the lens through which we are viewing the presence and power of God, and ultimately to free ourselves completely from it. It's not unlike the projector that we utilize here, you see. If I didn't like the picture that was on this screen, and I suddenly completely lost track of all of you sitting out here, and I went up here and tried to rearrange the figures on this screen, you would probably think that I had indeed lost my mind. Where would I have to go if I wanted to change what's on this screen? I'd have to go to the projector. You see, we are out here all the time trying to rearrange the screen out here on the stage of life. How much more effective it would be if we just spend our time working on the projector and clearing the film strip, if you will, that is between us and this ultimate reality, so that when all is said and done and there's no more colors or projection on this screen, what remains? Light. What remains when you and I release ourselves from the filters, from the beliefs, especially those that are not serving us in this moment? Light. Let me share with you today a few ideas or thoughts about beliefs, because they're really amazing little critters. First of all, we've already established that they define your experience, not your ultimate reality, but your experience of ultimate reality. You are free to choose what you believe in. Most of us have convinced ourselves that we are victims of our own self-appointed belief system. Is that crazy or what? We adopt the beliefs, we accept them for ourselves, and then we hold ourselves prisoners, hostage to our beliefs, not realizing that we, in fact, have chosen those beliefs, and that we can change them in any moment, and in so doing, change our experience. Here's a difficult one. So you're going to have to be ready for this. Your beliefs are for you alone and no one else. Really? Yeah, it's a fact. You are entitled to your beliefs, but you are never entitled to impose your beliefs upon another. If we could finally understand this, and what's the big deal? Why does everybody have to agree with what I believe? Because it makes me more comfortable. Let's be honest. If I can win enough converts, I'll convince myself that my belief is worth having. But an individual who knows what they believe and they stand in the certainty of that belief, they don't need anyone to agree with them, my friends, because they know that they know, and they're at peace with that. And they also really honor the idea that we're all a little bit different. So we have different belief systems. And guess what? That is perfectly all right. That's called diversity. And it's a beautiful aspect of God in expression. We're running around all the time trying to squelch it. It's very peculiar. Here's another one. Happy belief systems are fluid and evolutionary. Fluid and evolutionary. I often compare beliefs to the railing on a staircase that we might be trying to climb, okay? Now, you grab hold of the railing to help steady yourself as you're going up the stairs, right? And just for the sake of the illustration, understand that we're all engaged in an ascending spiral in life. We're always moving up. We're going up, whether we like it or not. The railing, holding on to that railing can be helpful to us because we can move up a little more steadily. But what happens if I get to a certain point in the staircase where I'm trying to take the next step and I won't let go of the railing back here? what happens is that I create tension and I create suffering and I create pain and I create misfortune because I can't move and I'm designed to move. So what this tells us is that it's very important for us to let go of the railing, to let go of any belief that is no longer serving us. And I'll tell you this, my friends, if you are in any state of pain or suffering this morning, do not go outside of yourself to try to alleviate that situation. Instead, ask yourself, what belief am I holding on to that my pain and suffering is asking me to let go of? Because that's the only thing that holds us back. We believe that we are our beliefs. We forget that our beliefs are tools, you see, only there to help and support us. So identify the belief that's ready to be released, and you get the call because you're not happy, you're not comfortable. Let that belief go, and then take the next step up the ladder, up the staircase. Live as you're designed to live. Here's another one. Converting others to support your belief system is not only unhealthy, it is a total waste of time. Now, let's be honest here. How many of you can say, well, I've got a friend, I've got a family member. In fact, you probably hung out with some of these family members over the holidays already, and you thought, well, if they could just understand like the unity way of life as I do, they would be so much more at peace. And so, in our subtle conversation, we like to, maybe you should come to Unity Church of Overland Park. Maybe you should hang out, read this book. Now, I'm not saying that it's unhealthy to be helpful. I'm just saying that if you really believe that your belief system is going to help somebody as much as it helps you, I don't think you're accurate. I think you need to really honor that everybody is exactly where they need to be right now. And it is not your business or my business to try to rearrange the stationing of these players. You are the only one that needs to support what you believe in. And when you do that, something really amazing and beautiful happens. You start to be a living testimony of integrity and authenticity. What a novel idea. You don't have to tell anybody what you believe, and you don't have to convert anybody because your very presence makes the statement. You don't have to tell them what you believe because guess what? They can see it, they can feel it, and they can taste it. We're all connected here, my friends. You think you're holding a thought about somebody next to you or down the street, and they don't feel it, they don't get it? Think again. We all feel each other all the time. We all get it. Oh, what a disgusting outfit she has on today. She hears it. She feels it. She may not even be conscious of it, but your energy is always going out there. Here are some possible ways that we can respond. I want you to think just for a moment, what's something that's going on in your life right now, particularly if it might be making you a little uncomfortable or bringing you pain or regret or anything of a negative nature. And let's look at some of the ways that we can define it together. First of all, we could say about anything that's going on in our world, there is a problem here. And I must identify and resolve this problem. How many problem solvers do we have in the room this morning? Every hand should be raised. I'm a problem solver. In fact, I've taken great pride in my ability to solve problems, and people notice this. Well, my goodness, he's a very good problem solver. There's only one problem with being a problem solver, and that is that a problem solver always has to have a problem. Yes. When I got that, I was at first extremely humiliated, really. It was like, oh my God, all these years I've been priding myself on my ability to solve problems. So do you want to look at whatever's happening and say, this is a problem. If I can just identify the problem and resolve it, everything will be okay. That's one option. Another option would be to say to yourself, in this situation, the potential for mistakes and failure is very high. Suspicious nature. There's trouble here. And my well-being could be at stake because of this situation. You can define it that way. You can believe anything you want to about anything that's happening in your life or in the world at large. Here's a good one. This is all the result of my total incompetency. How many might be thinking of themselves as being incompetent right now, incapable of resolving something that's going on in their life, and believing that they are at fault for what is happening? My friends, there's a phrase I love, and it goes like this: no guilt, no shame, just God. So if you are feeling 1 ounce guilty this morning for something that has happened, kindly do yourself a favor and release yourself from believing that you did something wrong. We're all walking around on this planet paranoid because we believe that we did something wrong. We're not sure exactly what it was, but we're going to go to hell and pay for it. That's the only thing we know for sure. You didn't do anything wrong. You're made by God, which exempts you from error. Isn't that lovely? Yes, it is. Here's another one. I need to make a list of all the individuals and organizations that are responsible for this and blame them. Now, let's laugh first, but then let's look. Who are you blaming right now? If yourself, get yourself off the hook. If somebody else, I'm sorry, everything is happening in exactly the right way at precisely the right time, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. Here's another one. This is cause for hopelessness and total depression. You're looking at anything right now in your life saying, this is hopeless and I'm depressed. It's a definition. It's a belief you can choose to hold about anything. This is one of my favorite ones. Oh my God, I need to leave town. I got to get out of here. This is just too hot. I can't take it. I got to get out of here. I've got to escape. I've got to run away. I got to get out of town. That's one reaction you can have to anything at any time that's happening in your life. And here's the final one I share with you. And I think you know what the preferred choice here is. God is in charge of my life. God makes every move for me. I can trust and let go of worry, doubt, and fear. This situation, what's your situation this morning? This situation is designed by the infinite nature of God for the highest good of all concerned. Period. End of discussion. You can adopt that belief about anything that's happening in your life right now. This last year has been quite a year for me. And I always have to remind myself that life's giving me exactly what I need, right? To take me on the next step of that ascending spiral up the staircase. But on May 7th of this year, my mother, who's been living with me in Miami for the last 5 years or so, she finally surrendered the winters of Missouri as well, and came down, and she's been living there. She's been having a wonderful life. But on May 7th, she contacted me. She was having severe abdominal pains, and so I took her over to the emergency room, and they admitted her. And later that evening, I got a call from a surgeon at the hospital who said, your mother's in terrific pain, and we have to do an emergency abdominal surgery here at 86 years old. That's not exactly what you want to hear. But I went over to the hospital, and they started at 10:30 that night and went all through the evening. And the next morning, she was in ICU recuperating, still very delicate, and nobody really knew what the outcome was going to be. But I remember she was laying there, and she was still relatively out of it. But she opened her eyes just enough to see me, and she said, "Am I dying?" Now, I think that's the toughest question my mother ever has asked me, and she's asked me some tough ones. And in that moment, I thought, woo, how I answer this question right now is real important, because on the medical side of things, she could be dying, I've been told. And I don't know, actually, what's going to happen. So that was unnerving, and I didn't want to be dishonest, but I also realized, kind of what I'm telling you this morning, I can define this, I can put my belief system here in any way that I choose. So I thought it's either the end of her life or it is the beginning of a whole new chapter. And so I looked her right in the eye and I said, "Mom, you're not dying, you're just having your plumbing renovated." And she got this big smile on her face. Now, ultimately, it's true that even though it was a long summer of home to hospital to rehab to home to hospital to rehab, and she's now residing in a nursing facility in Miami, she is healthy. But I didn't know that right then. The only thing I knew is that I had the ability to choose the belief that would best suit me in that moment right there. And that a belief of surrender and abandonment and feeling like she's not going to make it and she's losing her life, it wasn't going to help anybody in that moment. So I chose the belief that I thought would be the most helpful for me and her. And you know what, my friends, when all is said and done, it really doesn't matter too much what you believe. Remember that what you believe is only creating your interpretation of ultimate reality. But it doesn't negate ultimate reality. The truth is that whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not, you're always living in the kingdom of God. This is the ultimate reality. What's more important than what you believe is that you trust. That you trust that regardless of your perceptions, regardless of your beliefs, your feelings, your thoughts, your concepts, your paradigm, even regardless of your experience, you trust that something, and it's the same something that's guiding the planets and the universe and galaxy after galaxy. I do think that you can count on it. In fact, I think it knows more about what's going on in your life than you do, and most certainly than I do. So the question then becomes not so much what do I believe, but what can I trust in? Can I trust that I live in a world where everything that comes into my realm of experience as a human being is there to bless me, is there to in some way prosper me, is there to make me a better person? And then can I take that belief, having filled myself with it, out into the world, not espousing it or shouting it to others like I'm doing up here with you this morning, but living it. And I believe that 2015 would be a most excellent year for all of us here to begin living that truth, that belief, and experiencing that reality. God bless you.